Hi everyone, Maxine here with Tink and I Treasures. Welcome to my studio. This is part 2 of our Ireland Forever series and making the memory keeper right now. And I have my front and back and spine cut out, right? This spine width is 2 inches, and that's based on the spine that we did earlier and how wide this area is, giving a little bit on either side. So if you can see, that fits neatly within this size here with a little bit on either side, maybe not as much as 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch or a tad bit more, but it's you know, there's plenty of leeway on either side. So that determined this. And so now we have our front and back. This is chipboard. It's as you can see, it's not very rigid chipboard. There's a lot of flex in it. Oh, I probably went the wrong way with that. I should have went this way. I didn't check to see which way the grain was going. 9, yeah, that goes that way. So anyway, so we're going to do our cover. So I've picked these pages for the front and back of the cover. This here is going to be the front. So I'm going to put that on the left side facing down. I love these clocks, but I haven't figured out how to use those yet. And then this is going to go on the other side, on the back. So I'm going to put that down. And we are overlapping these just a bit. I would say 2 inches. I think we'll be able to get away with that. So I'm just laying these down to check. Yeah, that's going to be good. So that's going to give us enough overhang to wrap them. So yeah, I'm going to go 2 inches. So I'm going to line these up with the lines on my grid here. And I think I'm going to use double stick tape for this, just because. And if you don't have double stick tape, don't worry about it. Just make sure you're using a really good glue and make sure it dries well before you do anything. So I'm going to make sure I don't get that off the paper at all, because, you know, like I said before, double stick tape, boy, if you get that outside of the lines, you're gonna have problems forever, because everything's gonna want to stick to it. So I'm gonna make really sure that this is cleaned up well and not sticking out. Okay, so that's our front. Down that goes. And this is the tricky part too. You want to make sure that when you're putting these two pieces together that they're lining up really, really well. Put it like that, we're gonna go right through the little girl, so I'm gonna put it like this. Okay, so I'm using the grids to make sure that this is lined up right. Okay, the other thing with double stick tape is it's not forgiving, unlike, you know, other kinds of glues, except for art glitter, which I don't think gives you very much wiggle room. The reptile glue that I use, that gives you some wiggle room, which means it doesn't grab right away. You have a little bit of time to play with it, a little bit of time to readjust if you need to. Oops. Doggone it. It keeps moving. Okay, we're not going to spend all day with that. I'm going to do it a different way. So here's one trick. I'm sure you probably know it, but in case you don't, this is my reptile glue, which I've talked about before. It's real similar to art glitter, only it's not quite as expensive, and it gives you a little bit of time to adjust. Oops. Oh, geez, see? Oh, don't get anything near that. Okay, so I took the protector off the double-sided tape. So if you run over it with some wet glue, that's going to give you that wiggle room that you need. It won't, you know, it won't grab immediately. Okay, so I'm going to line this up with my grid again. Okay. This is always the part where you kind of hold your breath and get that over there. And make sure that's... And one thing I didn't mention is that you want to make sure your top is under and your bottom, your top part is going under and your back page is going on top here. And I'll show you what I mean by that. I usually don't put on so much glue that a lot of it gets wasted coming out, you know, but I did that time. Okay, so the reason you want your top down is because on this side it is going to the back. That makes sense. You want it going that way rather than this way. And if the back paper was on top, it would be going this way, and you don't want that. I hope that makes sense. That doesn't quite make sense to me when I'm saying it, but I know what I mean. Okay, so make sure we have going the right way here. So this is, these are 9 inches. What did I do here? 8.5? Yeah. So what I've done is 9 by 8.5, which is a little bit larger than the pages that I have already cut. So, all right, so we're going to get this down. And I think I'm just going to use my reptile glue. Make sure you get the edges well. We are going to wrap this. So get a good amount of glue down. We don't have to worry too much about all that showing because this is very, you know, this is heavier paper, so that specialness isn't going to show through. I tell you, the glue lines have ruined more of my things. The trick is that if it is thinner paper that you're working with, you need to take a brush and brush out those glue lines before you stick it down. Otherwise, you're going to have those glue lines showing right through your paper. Okay, so now we're going to do the spine. And I want to get a couple of pieces. Oops, that's 3. Couple of pieces. Basically, you want about 1/4 of an inch. I don't know, maybe I can do it better like this. So you want to leave about 1/8 of an inch. No, I said 1/4, didn't I? I didn't mean that. About 1/8 of an inch. That's good. Get that straight. And our last one. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing again. Okay, so we got the front and the back down. We left a gap on either side, so this has room to fold up. You want to watch and make sure that you don't do what I just did. So this seam right here where it's coming up, it is right on where these two lap together. So if you only used glue and not the double stick tape, you would really have a problem here. I don't think I'm going to have a problem, but I'm kind of working it. Just kind of training the paper to, like, you know, this is what I want you to do. Yeah, if I didn't use double stick tape, I would really be having a problem. So you want to make sure when you're laying your spine and where these two fold, you want to make sure you're not getting that fold right where this seam is here, if that makes sense. It's best to have the spine kind of go like that, so that this seam is either in the middle of the spine or all the way over to this side. But this is, you know, 12 by 12 paper. So I had a little bit of a problem. I could have went that way a little bit more, but I wanted this to be, you know, the front. So anyway, but I think it's going to be okay because I used the double stick tape. Yeah, that would be too much pressure for just glue. Okay, so now we want to wrap. So I'm just kind of, again, showing the paper what I want it to do. Okay, and now we need to miter the edge, the corners. I am not good at this. I have watched it over and over and over. People that just come in and don't seem to have a problem. I always seem to have a problem. And I'm not sure why, what I'm doing wrong. So, you know, if you have a good way of doing this, by all means, don't follow me. But I just come in, I leave about 1/4 of an inch and kind of do a circle motion, a circle type shape. Okay, now I am going to get out some double stick tape. And like I said, you don't have to use double stick tape for this if you don't have any. But sometimes it helps to have that additional strength. Especially, you know, when you put the 2 pages together, it's good to have that extra. And I'm also going to be using some wet glue as well. Okay, so just going around and making sure those are stuck down well. I want to add to there because we kind of have some lift going on here. And I don't know if that's going to be a problem down the road, but I just as soon fix it now before it does become a problem. So, yeah, you want to make sure your corners, your edges are all down really well. Okay, so I like to do the 2 long ends first. I know other people do the short ends first. It's either way is fine. If you press down double stick tape really well, you can peel off the backing a lot easier, I have found. So I'm just going to go over this with a little, not a lot, but I'll get the edges really well. Okay, so because we trained the paper already, it goes down very easily. Okay. Turn this around. Do the same thing on this side. Okay, so now we're going to get the ends. I'm going to get a good, took off the double stick tape, and I'm just putting a little bit of glue. And this is where it gets fidgety, getting these corners in, tucked in right. You want a nice crisp corner. Of course, you know, those little corner covers, they cover up a world of issues too. So, you know, if your corners are not perfect, you might want to get some of those little corner, what are they called? Corner guards, and put those on. I think it makes the whole thing look better too, makes it look more high-end, the corner protector things. And it covers up mitering, corner mitering that isn't quite perfect. Of course, it is handmade, so, you know, if anyone expects it to be perfect, then maybe they should buy mass-produced. That's my opinion anyway. Part of the charm of handmade is, you know, little things like, you know, maybe the corners aren't perfect, or, you know, something like that. So anyway, you just have to fiddle with it. Oh God, that's not right, is it? Sometimes they go just right, and other times they're not having it at all. Huh. This one just doesn't seem to be having it at all. There. I think you got it. Okay. So there we go. Okay. That down. Good. There. There. There we go. So, yeah, it's coming together. Oh, boy, that already started to dry up. Ugh. Come on. Honestly. Okay. So, and there. Here we go. So, I think this is a good stopping point, just so this can dry, because it's quite a lot of glue on here and it feels pretty wet. So we're going to let this dry and come back. Okay, so we've got all this done, all covered. So now what we want to do is put in our spine that's going to hold our pages. And you want to get this centered between the ends of your spine here and the top and bottom, to make sure that that's in the right place. And I'm going to do that a little bit more so maybe I can see it better. So yeah, right like that. I am going to cut this to an angle. You can do this or not do this. It's up to you. I just thought that might help a little bit later when we're covering the inside. So we want, so this is why we have these flaps here, because it's additional, you know, you're going to have glue or your double stick tape or whatever. It's going to go outside of, you know, this main area just to give more stability, and it will tuck underneath your cover. You know, whatever you're going to use to cover this, it'll tuck underneath that. So, and that's why I angled it a little bit too, to kind of help with that getting covered later. That makes sense. So yeah, that looks good like that. So we are going to take off the cover on this. And we're going to put down some glue. Just to help with positioning, because this double stick tape really grabs, and man, if you don't have it in the right place, you're done for. But this helps give you that wiggle room so it doesn't grab. Right away, and you can position things a little bit better. Okay, so all right, so in between there and top to bottom, you also want to make sure this is straight too. That looks good. So I'm gonna push that down. And gonna go in between each one of these. Make sure everything is stuck down. And over here. Looks like I have a little bit here that needs to be glued. I mean, it's going to be covered, right? But if all layers are stuck down, well, then you run less risk of having issues. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Okay, so now I don't want to add my pages yet because I want this to have time for the glue to dry and for it to set up really well. So we're going to leave that for last. Right now we just need to cover these. I was hoping these 8x8s that I got would work, but well, it can't be. It's gonna have to be on that side. Just doesn't quite cover these well. Yeah, I want better coverage than that, so that's unfortunate. Okay, so and you gotta remember that we're gonna do we're also gonna do a journal, so you want to make sure that you have papers out for that. Okay, keep that. So I'm going to pick out ones I want for journal. Oh, definitely that. And let's see, that one would be good. Oh, forget about the back side. This has got, that's nice. Oh no, okay, those two. Alright, those I'm keeping for the journal. These I could still use. Okay, so ruler. Okay, so you want to make sure that you get it on this side of the fold. Okay. So if I stay this side of the fold and I come out here 8 1/4 plus 2, 3, between 8 1/4 and 8 1/2. I would say 8 1/2 minus 1. Imagine it'll be the same on this side. So get that bent up there so we know where that fold is. 8 1/2 less. Did I say 2 or 1? That'd be 8 1/2 less 2. This side would be 8 1/2 less 2, I guess. All right, so let's see. Oops. All right. 8 1/2. 8 1/2 less 2 little ticks. I don't know what that is. Okay, that's going to be our width. And this one, 8 1/2. 8 1/2 less 2. Of course, your measurements are going to be what your measurements are. Okay, so that's for the width. And now for the length. I think we want 9. Let's see. 9 less 2. 9 less 2 for the length. So 9 less 2. And it should be the same on the other side. 9 less 2. Okay. All right, so I think I'm going to want to spread this out a little bit. Oh, you know what? Maybe instead of Reptile, I'm going to use tacky glue because I think that is going to spread a little better. I think maybe some glue stick might be a good idea as well. Just because, you know, we want to make sure this gets stuck down really well, huh? Glue stick's easier said than done, right? Okay. Now, this tacky glue seems to work pretty good. It's a lot cheaper than the other kinds, that's for sure. So, the most we can utilize something like this, I would say that's a good thing. Because it is a lot less expensive. I've even found smaller bottles of this at the dollar store. Dollar Tree, whatever it is, dollar store, I think. Alright, so I'm just going to take a brush here, foam brush, and just kind of run it over lightly, just to spread it around and so we don't have any lumps. Okay, so let's put this down and get that straight. Get it over close to, but not on the fold. And make sure that everything is straight. What's nice about that tacky glue is you have time to position things, you know. I think that's going to be good. All right. I don't know if the glue stick helped us at all, but all my scraps over here. Save all your little cuttings and scraps because, you know, they're going to be good to you. Uh-oh, this is almost out. When that starts popping out, you know, you're done. So, give this a good cover and call this one done. So yeah, all your little scraps and stuff are going to come in handy when we start putting in pockets and tuck places and that kind of thing. All right, so that's done. Ugh. Okay, and put in this. Get this covered really well, and then take our little foam brush and just kind of smooth everything out and spread it around a little bit. This is heavier paper, so, you know, having those little marks shouldn't make a difference, but I would rather be safe than sorry. Something like that. There we go. There we are. Ha ha ha. Okay, there we are. So, I'd buy stainless steel pins. At least that's what they're advertised as, being stainless steel pins, but they're getting rusty, so I think somebody fibbed. Okay, so there we are. And now we got the front cover, the inside covered. I don't think we need the ruler right now, so I'll get that out of the way. All my scraps are in the way over here. Trials and tribulations of a small workspace. Okay. So. Okay, now we're going to put in our pages. Now there's several different ways you can do this. Let's see. That's going like that. Oh, I put that on wrong, didn't I? Oh no, that's the second one. Okay. There's a couple of ways you can do this. I have found this to be probably the easier way. What we're going to end up with. I'll show you what we're going to end up with. So this is the first page. This is the front. This is the back. And it goes on either side of that first mountain. And they go on like this. And we're going to put glue on either side here, so we have a pocket in here. Okay, so you could either glue these ends together first and then slip it on, or you can glue them on first separately and bring them together and then add your glue. Either way, I'm gonna try. I've always done it the other way. Today I'm gonna try doing it this way and see if it's any better. Again, I have some double stick tape, but you don't need double stick tape. And I'm going to add some glue just so I have that wiggle room, because double stick tape has always messed me up. Grabs on and I haven't got it right yet, haven't gotten it positioned the way I want to, and unfortunately double stick tape tells you when you're done. Okay, so you want to get it on there so it's centered top to bottom. And just want to push that on. There, like that. Uh-oh. I don't think I got that on. Oh boy. Ooh, even with the glue, the double stick tape still kind of grabs on. Okay. This one should be easier. I'm going to get the corners really well and the edges really well. Okay, this one should be easier because we're going to line it up with the first one. Get it down in there. Oops. Get it down in there. Line that up. There. And there we go. Okay, now we're going to take some glue. Make sure and get down at the bottom really well. Run it up the side. And run it up this side. I'm not using the double stick tape here because, like I said, that stuff never dries. And if you have a little piece sticking out, things are going to get stuck to that constantly. So, down here, it should be okay, but the sides, that might come in contact with pictures or documents or what have you, so. Okay, so now we have this pocket. Nice big pocket too, so we need to let that dry well though. Okay, I'm going to do a second one on screen so you can watch, and these should all be a lot easier too because I can use what I've already done as a guide. That first one was a little trickier. Oops. Forgot to make sure that was stuck down good. This side. Okay. So like I said, you can glue the sides first and then put it down kind of like a sleeve. Or you can do it this way and bring the two sides together. Either way. I'm just going to line that up with the first ones. Make sure that's all the way down. Yep. Awesome. That's stuck good. And move to the next one. All right, so lay that down, match everything up. Thank God for that glue giving us some wiggle room, I tell ya. There we go. Okay, like that. And run the glue up the sides. Just a thin, I go up and back. Just a thin line as close to the edge as you can manage. And glue those together. Now we got ourselves a nice pocket. As you can see, you're going to be able to save a lot of things in these pockets. And this is why we have that 1/4 of an inch gap between them. So there's room to expand. You don't want them too close. And that 1/4 of an inch valley, that could be a little bigger too if you need it to be, depending on what your plans are. Maybe you're not doing quite as many pages, but you want, you know, more room for putting things in. So you increase that valley from a 1/4 of an inch to, you know, 1/2 inch or whatever. You could do that too. On top of having the pocket, we're also going to have pockets, you know, bottom pockets, side pockets, tuck spots, things like that as well. So I was also thinking, now I know I said, you know, I'm using this cardstock, coffee dyed cardstock, to, you know, save on the designer paper to make sure I had enough. Because remember, we're doing a journal out of this paper as well. But I was thinking, because this is coffee dyed and it's light, this could also be a journaling spot as well. You know, you could write things down. I mean, maybe each page has a different event or something like that, and you want to write down here, you know, information about the event or whatever. I mean, you could totally do it that way, you know, have each page as some kind of separate event. I use mine as just a keepsake for, you know, all the little things that you hang on to, you know, the cards you get from a cruise, you know, your room card key from a cruise. I keep those. Ticket stubs from a play. Stationery from a hotel, you know, just things like that you want to keep. You know, these are perfect for that. So anyway, I'm going to finish putting in the rest of my pages, and we will meet up again to start putting in our pockets and other things. So thanks for joining me. Please like, it helps my channel to grow, and I really appreciate that. It's kind of been a struggle getting people to notice. There's, you know, there's a lot of great channels out there. I know I subscribe to many of them myself, and but yeah, if you could hit like and subscribe, and I would really appreciate that. In the meantime, please take care of you, love each other, and I'll see you again. Join me for part 3.